Welcome to another episode of Off the Menu. I'm your host, Vincent Franchini from Tumblr House, here with a winsome Charles Coulombe.
Winsome?
That's a good one. You should like that one. You should be grateful.
Do I look like a debutante or an old man with one foot in the grave?
What?
Winsome. I mean,
Sweetly innocent, charming, engaging?
You say that about debutantes. You say that about old men. You don't say it about middle-aged wrecks.
You say that about old men?
Yeah, really old. You know how it is. Men get to a certain age, like when they're 90 and dribbling, and chicks say they're cute.
Why are you saying old men? What?
Really old men. I mean, I'm old enough, but
okay.
Old men, like in their late 80s, early 90s, they're well, then and chicks of a certain age will say, "Oh, he's so cute." Well, the old person is being winsome, just like the lovely young debutante is winsome.
So you don't want that for yourself?
Well, it's not a question of I wanting it. I'm sure we all want to be innocently engaging. It's just a question of whether it's applicable.
Do you feel it's applicable?
Well, I may personally feel that I'm winsome, but I may personally feel that I'm dainty. It doesn't mean I am.
Okay.
It's not my fault. I mean, do you consider me dainty?
Sure. Truth is incarnate in the community, Charles.
Oh,
as a fellow once said.
Very, very good. Oh, very good. I was going to drop that one myself. You beat me to it. Well, you're right. Truth is incarnate in the community. Oh, man, ladies and gentlemen.
Would you like to explain the background to that or the surrounding?
I don't feel like it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, suffice to say that I heard a lecture by a canon lawyer recently who he talked a lot of drivel about synodality and canon law, but he dropped that one, which I told really before the podcast. The truth is incarnate in the community. Okay, great. That means the community doesn't need to be evangelized. So get a job, Patricia.
That's the ultimate democratic relativist manifestation right there. Believe truth is incarnate in the community.
Yeah, I mean and anything that pops out of the community must be true, whatever that might be. You know, things are so stupid today. I was telling you, remember before the show, about one of my innumerable young friends and relations, Mike Fight, who he went to, I won't mention the school, but it was St. John's in Annapolis, Maryland. And one of his classmates was this lady who was holding forth one day in the dining room, the cafeteria, about how terrible C.S. Lewis was. And he forced his religion down children's throats, and he was just a dreadful person and so forth. So young Mike says, look, firstly, every writer has their own agenda that they're trying to get across. That's why they write. Secondly, everyone admits that he was a great stylist and a great writer. And the girl in question says, oh, yeah? Well, he was a drug addict. And young Mike says, what? A drug addict? C.S. Lewis? I've never heard that. And her response, are you ready? Are you prepped?
Ready.
Her response was, oh, yeah? Well, have you ever actually read Alice in Wonderland? Yeah. Yep. Let that sink in a little.
Wow.
I think she's probably one of these chicks who get their medullas pierced. Short circuits the cerebellum and the cerebrum, you know. Savor that stupidity. Roll it around in your mouth like a fine wine. Bring it to your nose. Enjoy the bouquet.
Wow. That is simply breathtaking.
Isn't it? Only our brightest and best in America's most highly ranked schools, that's for sure.
Okay.
But let's move on to something pleasant,
Yeah.
shall we?
Yeah.
Wash the taste of that out of your brain.
Yeah. So what's going on with you, Charles? Anything new?
Well, a lot of things. Thanksgiving is coming up, and I'm very excited about that. Here, the exile community in Trumau is going to be getting some turkeys, and having a Thanksgiving feast on Thursday night, which will be exciting. The month of the Holy Souls continues to remind one of one's dead. We're actually doing the show on the 23rd of December, of November, which is both the 6th anniversary of the late Brother Leonard Mary's demise, 6 years ago tonight. And it is the feast of St. Coulombe, who was the patron of my family. So I'm very excited about that. And, well, that's pretty much about it. I'm enjoying myself here in the depths of the old empire, and am constantly pleased to see yet another double eagle on some other monument.
Ah, good.
So,
good. Okay.
well, it's like seeing Fleur-de-Lis in France. It's always a thrill.
There you go. We've got a question on the Austrians later, so stay tuned for that. Okay, a couple things before we get started. Important announcement. In this episode, we are going to be clearing out all our questions from patrons, which means we will be able to ask questions from non-patrons in the upcoming weeks. So, we have so many good questions from non-patrons. I just want to thank everyone for their patience. I have unfairly gained the reputation of being a tyrant, but really I aim to please. So I just want, it excites me to finally, ask the questions from the non-patrons. But do keep in mind, we have probably around 200 questions in the backlog. So if I don't ask your question, just, hopefully I can get to it eventually, but temper your expectations.
You aim to please. Should they bow? Should they duck when you're aiming?
That's rude, Charles.
Well, no, I'm just curious. I mean, oh, never mind.
How dare you?
Well, it's very simple after the encounter I had today in the tower men's room.
Okay, do tell.
Well, no, I mean, you've got all these new hard-nosed employees around here, and
that's by design.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. So I wash my hands, right, and I'm reaching for the paper towel.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, the attendant is standing there glaring at me as though I'd done something wrong by coming into the place at all. I pull off the one sheet of paper, dry my hands, it's still wet, so I drink a second. And when I grab the second one, he says, "Those aren't free, you know. The company has to pay for every single one of them."
Which is true.
Okay, fine. I said, "Look, my hand isn't properly dry. That's why I need a second one." "Oh yeah, well everybody else seems to be able to manage." I said, "I don't know about everybody else. I don't come in here very often now that I don't live in the States anymore." And he said, "Oh, I see. So I guess you're used to foreign paper toweling." Like it was an accusation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. He seemed very, very hard-nosed. That's all I'm saying.
So you're not in favor of order, discipline, prudence, saving money, things like this?
I'm not in favor of it when it's being preached at me by some, well, I can't say a bad word about him, but by some hard-nosed old guy. He's older than I am. He must be a retiree. I can see why they wouldn't take him as a greeter at Walmart. I'll tell you that. I can just imagine. Welcome to Walmart, moron. Moving along. Yeah, I can see that. They would never do that with the greeters. All the sweet old people become greeters at Walmart. The hard-nosed, tough ones, they end up working for you. I've figured that one out.
Well, some people, they take liberties when going on their break, and they take a little too long. So he expedites, well, I mean, our employees who have these duties expedite the process and make sure things run smoothly.
Well, that's not all. That's not all. It's the last time I was at the commissary, I had the macro because they'd run out of everything else, and I was able to keep down about 2 or 3 bites of it. I had to leave the rest. So I'm about to empty my plate, and put it in a little tray where they take them when to be washed. And as I'm about to empty it, there's this woman standing there. Apparently, it's her job, and said, "Why are you wasting that?"
The fair question. Fair question.
I told her because it was unpalatable.
So that's why you're wasting it. People are starving in Africa, and you're wasting it.
That's exactly what she said. That's exactly what she said.
Well, it's simple logic. That's why.
Yeah, I guess. Okay. Let's move along. I don't want to deal with this anymore. It's too much for me. What else we got?
Okay, so memes of production, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So here we go. Memes of production. We've nationalized the memes because we need to protect the common good.
Here.
All right. First one is from Thomas. Thank you, Thomas. When a group of entitled nobles invite a Dutch prince to invade their own country to depose their lawful sovereign just because their current king is a member of the one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. And then you got a picture of, I guess, James II on Trump's body. This has been the worst trade deal in the history of trade deals, maybe ever.
Okay, well, I can't argue with the sentiment. All right, fine. It's okay by me.
Okay. Next one. This is just a random one that I really enjoyed. Feeling pained. Emoticon. Why are so many people really sad? Well, we're living in a fake environment with fake food, fake news, and fake people, and it's slowly poisoning our souls.
I can't argue with that, can I?
I love that. It's true.
Okay, that's great.
Okay.
That is true, too.
Next one is a very special one. Now, this one, see, I monitor things. I monitor people. I monitor behavior. Nothing gets past me. I have my agents and my minions. The tentacles spread far and wide. And so this is one thing that got emailed to me from Tyrone, and look at this. This is from Google. This is search traffic. This is search statistics, and if you'll notice the fourth line down, it says Charles Coulombe wife. People are searching Charles. Oh, who's Charles Coulombe's wife? There are, in the past year, 224 people are trying to stalk you in a creepy way and see if you've got a wife.
Okay, well, firstly, if I do have one, she's being held at an undisclosed location for our protection. If she exists, she will not be seen in public. And you might as well write her off because she's not accepting invitations. She doesn't want anyone to know about her. Or she doesn't exist. There's also that very large possibility. Now, it could be that they're not stalkers. It could be that they're wealthy widows out to find a severely aged toy boy.
Yeah.
But that would be kind of inappropriate as well, really. So I'm off the market, ladies. Don't worry about it. I'm past. What's the word? I'm past my Best Buy date.
What if it's those people searching it? It's a bunch of hot babes seeing if you're available.
You know, if I had money, that would be quite possible. I've noticed that money attracts hot babes like honey attracts flies.
It's weird how that is, isn't it?
It's true. If you don't have money, you don't often find them. It's amazing.
That's weird how that works. Yeah.
I know. I don't understand it.
Okay, our final meme today. This is an oldie but goodie, and this is classic. If you are a monarchist, you have already seen this, or you should have already seen this. Fascists keep moving. This is a monarchist neighborhood.
That's right. And take your liberal and commie friends with you.
That's right.
You bet. This is a monarchist neighborhood.
We're
all for the emperor or the king or somebody here. Don't know who. The sheriff of Nottingham. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're here for somebody, and it ain't you. Move along.
Okay. Time for the questions.
All right. Let's do it to it. Knock them out.
First two questions are from Aaron. Dear Mr. Coulombe, and a grudging nod to the plutocratic publisher. I am at the beginning of the process of being received into the church. And this is in large part down to watching Off the Menu since 2017. I'm currently reading the Catechism, and I would like to know what you think I should also be reading.
I would recommend two things. One, I would recommend what is called variously the Catechism of the Council of Trent or the Roman Catechism. Same book. Why? Well, because the Catechism of the Catholic Church is a compendium of different things stitched together, of differing levels of solemnity. As we've seen with Pope Francis's moves over the past year, it's something that can be altered at will, because a lot of what it deals with is not infallible truth. That doesn't mean it's useless. It does deal with things that were not dealt with before, and also with the Eastern rites in a way that was not done. But the reason why I want the Catechism of Trent, or the Roman Catechism as your basic catechism, is because it is the most authoritative we have. Not because it's authoritative due to being a catechism, but authoritative because it is mostly quotes from the Council of Trent. So that's why. What I would do is get a copy of that, read it in tandem with the Catechism of the Catholic Church. And where there's any differences, and you'll discover a few, you go with what the Catechism of Trent says. The other book I would pick up is Orthodoxy by G.K. Chesterton. Gives you kind of an idea of the romance and excitement of those very dry formulae you're accepting.
Both those books available at TumblrHouse.com. I actually have Catechism. I always carry it right on my desk. There you go. This is behind Charles's books and behind Father Ripperger's books. This is our best-selling item. Just people are hungry for solid, clear instruction. And this gives it to you in spades.
Yeah, well, I bet it's not signed by the author.
You're referring to your books and how you sign them.
I do, but I'll bet that one was signed by its author.
No. Who's the author?
Trent.
Trent?
Yes.
Trent Horn?
Just Trent. It's called the Catechism of Trent.
Yeah.
So it's Trent's Catechism.
Yeah.
So Trent signed it.
No, Trent didn't sign it. He should have.
You should have, but he didn't.
I know.
We got that straight.
That's right. Okay, next question from Aaron. Dear popular published peon, in a deferential bow with a Prussian click of the heels to the plutocratic publisher, please could you recount in your inimitable fashion the great Austrian victory over an awesome foe that was the Battle of Karánsebes in September 1788. I think
Well,
he's saying that ironically.
I'm sorry. This was like the Battle of Los Angeles. Basically, what happened was the Austrians were fighting the Turks. The Austrians were led by Joseph II, the emperor. And they had come to a river. They knew the Turks were advancing, but they didn't know how soon they would be there. So they sent a party of hussars over the river to scout it out. Well, the hussars found a group of gypsies, and the gypsies sold them schnapps. And they drank the schnapps and got drunk. Well, the hussars began making their way back, but because they'd been delayed, the infantry who was supposed to support them came up behind and were under the impression that they were Turks. So they fired on them, but they fired back. Then the artillery was brought up. They went back over the river. And there was all sorts of fighting where it was all friendly fire. Nobody had any idea that there were no Turks involved. And finally, in the morning, when the whole shebang was done, the emperor was rushed out and the whole army fled in confusion, allowing the Turks, who came by a few days later, to take the town unopposed. So let that be a lesson to you. If you're going to be fighting the Turks, don't drink.
Not one of Austria's finest moments.
No, it was not one of our finest moments. It was not like Los Angeles driving off the entire combined Romulan space fleet.
Yeah, the Battle of Los Angeles.
That's right. This will shock you, ladies and gentlemen, but every country has at least one military episode like that, where their arms were covered in something or other.
All right, next 3 questions are from Joshua and Brittany.
Okay.
Has Mr. Coulombe ever heard of the 3 days of darkness? If he has, does he believe there is any legitimacy behind this prophecy?
I'm sorry. 3 days of darkness. Yes. I don't know. I mean, I've heard about this most of my adult life. I remember the first time I was ever asked about the 3 days of darkness. I said in a public forum, I remember saying, well, let me get this straight. So for 3 days, you'll have to sit in your house, lock all the doors, lock the windows, hide under the bed, say your prayers, and hope that the 3 days will pass you by. I said, that's the way we live in LA anyway.
Wow.
You know, we hide out. We don't go anywhere. We don't let anyone in. No, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I've heard about it. We'll see.
It sounds metaphorical to me, because the part that especially sounds metaphorical is when it talks about like people will be at your door and they will sound like friends and they will sound like your family, but they're really demons. They're trying to get at you. And I feel like that's metaphorical for you have to be careful of influence.
And your friends and family losing the faith.
Yeah, because that's what's happening. You have to be careful of who you let in the door spiritually, in terms of influence.
Who you allow to influence to, yeah.
But, yeah.
We'll find out.
Second question. In Ott's book, Fundamentals of Catholic Dogma, he describes various theological grades of certainty. How authoritative is his work, specifically those grades? It appears that many modern Catholics believe that the only binding teaching is what comes from ex cathedra statements and from the church councils, but all other teachings are open to interpretation and development by the current magisterium. I also just finished Magisterial Authority by Father Ripperger, and he seems to agree with Ott's grades of certainty.
Well, I mean, Ott was a standard textbook, so a lot of people did. And there's a certain utility to it, but the problem is this is an area that has never been precisely defined. The boundaries of the ordinary magisterium, what's in it, what isn't, it is problematic. And in this pontificate, the difficulty is being shown very clearly. At what point, well, for instance, one of the big things, as I mentioned earlier, was Francis changing the church's teaching on capital punishment and is creating a whole new era for a whole new area of sins, eco-sins. Is that part of the ordinary magisterium? How much of it do we have to accept? I don't know. And this is something I think that one day is going to have to be dealt with. Precisely what is the ordinary magisterium in terms of its actual delineations?
The shout out to Sensus Fidelium, the best Catholic YouTube channel out there.
True.
So Sensus Fidelium is Latin for the sense of the faithful. Yep. And one of the things that they talk about on that channel, and Father Ripperger does as well, is it's the sense of the faithful that sort of get the ordinary magisterium correct. They kind of like the true Orthodox interpretation is held by the sense of the faithful. What do you think of that?
Well, so long as the faithful haven't been corrupted,
But then they aren't faithful.
I know, and that's precisely the problem you come into with all this. Well, how do we know that the bishop knows what he's doing? Well, the ordinary magisterium.
Well,
but if it says something that isn't Catholic, well, then it's not part of the ordinary magisterium.
Well, how about this? How about it is a persistent and unanimous consent by the doctors of the church? See, because like what St. Teresa of Avila and Thomas Aquinas and Augustine and Bellarmine and all these others, they aren't, that isn't magisterium.
No.
But if there is a united consensus, that is part of the sense of the faithful.
The consensus is not amongst the doctors, but amongst the fathers of the church. But yeah, I mean, there is the explicit saying that the unanimity of the fathers is tantamount to infallibility, which may well be true.
Okay.
But as I say, it's kind of a confusing area, and I do not doubt that the events of this pontificate will lead to more clarifications in this area.
Well, it is. I mean, I can see it in the bookstore. As I said previously, the Catechism of the Council of Trent is our bestseller behind your books and Father Ripperger's books. So you wonder if this is in part due to, Pope Francis's fixing with some things in the Catechism. But it goes back to the thing where God writes straight with crooked lines. People are looking at this more because of the shenanigans.
Right, which they would not have been otherwise. So
interesting.
All right, what else we got?
Last question from Joshua and Brittany. Where did the phrase of human dignity come from? Has that idea always been part of the church, or is that phrase a post-Enlightenment idea that has crept into the church?
Well, these medieval scholastics talked about the human being and so forth and his attributes. The way it's used now, I think, is probably post-Vatican II. Is it an ideal of the Enlightenment? Well, I don't know. It certainly is kind of a newish approach to things. It's always kind of rubbed me a little bit the wrong way because it's used to justify all kinds of things. What with truth being incarnate in the community and stuff.
I haven't heard a lot of this talk. What are examples that it is used to justify?
Well, the most obvious example is that religious liberty is permissible because human dignity requires the individual to be allowed to decide on his own religion, which is not really what the church would have said not too long ago. But
I didn't know
there
that
you
was a
are.
matter of dignity. That's interesting.
Well, yeah. The dignity of the human person.
Okay. Last 3 questions are from Brian.
Okay.
Charles, what do you think about aliens? Second person of the
Well,
Blessed Trinity condescended to unite himself to a human nature, which he will retain for all eternity. Clearly, the human race is the apple of his eye, which makes me think aliens do not exist. I think a false flag alien attack may be used to usher in the New World Order of the Antichrist.
well, I don't know. The aliens I've met have all seemed fairly nice. I wouldn't call them demonic. I did go to college in Roswell, New Mexico, so I'm sort of half alien, regardless of what I want to do. That's one of the old alumni jokes, and someone says, "Oh, you went to college at Roswell. What about the UFO that crashed?" And one of our great answers is, this is what I hate. Everyone always asks about the one that crashed. They never ask about the one that completed its mission. But I've stated before my theory about aliens. They don't come from out there, but from here. That if they exist to a degree, in other words, if there is an actual basis to the phenomena that people report, my suspicion is that they are what our fathers would have called the fairies, the elves, if they exist, which I don't know. So you get a big fat, I don't know, pal. And I don't really want to find out for sure this side of the grave.
Okay. Charles, could you please discuss God's immutability? He does not change, yet he created the universe, and Jesus now has a human and a divine nature.
All true.
Yet another mystery, but I would appreciate if you could shed some light on the subject. Relatedly, could you discuss the concept of God's external glory?
Well, yeah, these are very, very hot issues, as you pointed out. But the thing is that his divine nature, Christ's divine nature, has never changed in and of itself. Even being hypostatically united to his human body did not change his essential nature as God.
So what? So was it always this way before the hypostatic union, as well?
No, before the hypostatic union, he was not united to man.
Okay. So
The
it's
hypostatic
interesting.
union,
So it changed.
well, no, his being as God did not change. His relationship to men did, but that's immutable. That's mutable anyway. Um, like when Adam left the garden in the first place, there was a change in his relationship with God, but God did not change. So too, God's taking on human vesture did not change his nature as God. It did. It did alter his relationship with human beings in a way.
Okay. What about his external glory?
Well, he certainly has it. I mean, he's an extraordinary God. He's great. There's that rock gospel song, "Our God's an Awesome God," or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's very cringe.
Yes,
I
I'm
think it was a
sure.
meme once upon a time. Yeah, so
Anyway, moving along. Yeah, what can I tell you? The beatific vision is the contemplating of that beautiful being for all eternity. So,
okay. Final question today. This has been
okay.
a quick episode.
Yeah.
Charles, do you think there is more hope for Europe or America? The former does not have as much history with the heresy of Americanism and has stronger remnants of Catholic culture, such as closing shops on Sunday. They also do not have as large a group of so-called conservative Catholics who are strongly beholden to the Novus Ordo. America, on the other hand, is generally more religious, though as we know, a large number of people who go to Mass don't believe in the real presence.
Yeah, well, it's a good question, and frankly, it's one that I ask myself a lot because I am over here. On one level, I have more hope for Europe for the reasons you figured out. There's so much of the faith in this area's DNA that it's hard to believe that it won't wake up given the right stimulus, whatever that might be. In America, it's a different story because with us, the defining ethos of America, which here is still to a great degree Catholicism, was this religion of the country, which is collapsing, dissolving.
Could you say the same thing about the Roman Empire before it became the Holy Roman Empire?
Yeah, I mean, well, maybe our country will pull its head out, and the states will become more than states. I hope so. But the difference is that Europe needs to be recalled to what it was. America needs to be converted to what it never was.
It's happened before.
Yeah, and it may happen again. It's not hopeless. Neither case is hopeless. It's just that Europe at the moment looks easier to me, but only marginally so.
Okay. Gosh, this is such a short episode. I'm gonna do some impromptu addition here. You know what? I'm gonna open my email inbox and I'm just gonna ask random questions from non-patrons. How do you like that? Because this has been such a short episode.
All right.
All right. Let's go. Okay. Question from James the Man. If December 8th is supposed to be USA's Day, I demand a flag to fly and traditions to celebrate as a Midwestern. I'm serious.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what you got to do to celebrate our National Day. Firstly, you are going to, get online and read everything you can about Our Lady, not only as patroness of these United States, but you're going to go to the Wikipedia article, Patron Saints of the United States. Yes, we have one. Indeed, we do. So you definitely need to find that and pray. That's the first thing. The second thing is you need to, what's the word? You need to do what you would do on the 4th of July. You go to Mass, you have a barbecue, you invite friends over, you party, and you invite your non-Catholic friends. And that's very, very important. You celebrate, and I do mean celebrate, the country that you were born in, the country that you live in, the country you love. And above all, you get your family and so on together, and you pray for the conversion of this country. Also, do a little bit of research online, find out who first brought the faith to your state.
Okay. Next question from Alex. What kind of clothes did worshippers historically wear to church? Why don't traditionalists ever try to restore this aspect of the Mass instead of wearing 1950s Western business suits?
Well, for several reasons. One, they don't want to look like they've gone to the Renaissance fair. Secondly, because the fact of the matter is that what you refer to as 1950s business suits are also 2019 business suits. that people still dress that way for anything they consider important. I mean, mind you, if we ever start wearing knee socks and ruffles and wigs again, well, when we're going to go to be tried in court or meet the president, then fine, to wear that to church. But the reason why you wear a suit to church is why we're wearing suits right now. We're doing so out of respect to our audiences, because this is the way you dress when you're doing something important. That's how you mark that it's important. Now, mind you, it's true that people in the 50s thought that a lot more things were important than we do. That's true. Yeah. So the man would wear the same suit to church that he wore to work, that he wore to go to court, that he wore to meet any important person. They did have a bigger feeling for the importance of things in life than we do. With us, it's just sleaze around, just ragbag. Well, kind of shows you what we are. And we get that from, you guessed it, my older brothers and sisters of the boomer generation. So you want to be a boomer, you do just as they did, and you look down on the suit.
Okay, boomer.
Mind you, I don't mind dressing as though I were at the Renaissance Fair because I've worked the Renaissance Fair.
Yeah, we've seen your bling.
Yeah.
Okay. Question from Aaron. Dear Chuck and Vinny. Wow, talk about lack of respect. Chuck and
What's
Vinny.
up? What's up, Chuck? Vomit. Next question.
Okay, I have a very serious question. I'm engaged and getting married very soon in December and thinking about starting a family. However, when I do, I'm terrified because of the economy. I have to provide for them, or because of the economy, I'll have to provide for them in, and the morally rotten society I'll have to protect them from. It is getting to the point where I feel, as a Catholic man, I'll have a duty to take up arms very soon to try to create the world I feel safe having children in. What can I do to try to keep the faith that things can be fixed peacefully? Because whenever I think of abortion, I have a brother who was killed by abortion, so I'm very passionate about it. I keep thinking that a civil war to end it would be preferable to waiting another 20 years for politicians to do nothing. Thanks so much.
Well, let me say this about that. All of our ancestors that went through unfortunate times were faced with the same problem. And they chose to bring forth children and do the best they could with them. And sometimes the best they could was enough. You know how we know that?
How?
We're here.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. In the wake of the Black Death, with 3/4 of the population of your area gone and everything falling apart, people still had children. And some of those children lived. We know this because we're here. You have to take the long view. I mean, don't give yourself troubles you don't have in the immediate. Focus on what you've got to do. You found a girl you want to settle down with. You're engaged to be married. All right, under those circumstances, do the best you can. If you're engaged, you're going to get married, find a job, do what prudence requires of a person in your position. And then if anything horribly dramatic happens in your time, then you have to roll with it. That's all there is to it. But you can't build your life on a future that may not arrive. You just have to do the best you can with what you've got, with what you know, confident that somehow or other God will take something out of it.
I think it's a blessing to be a Catholic and live in this time. One of my spiritual focuses, the way I kind of size things up, is strength and weakness. You're weak when you depend on comforts and you're do nothing and you're pleasure seeking. You're strong when nothing gets to you and all you are committed to is the greater glory of God. And I believe during this time there are going to be great men, strong men that are forged because the opportunities afford that like never before. So see it as an opportunity for yourself, Aaron. I'm kind of in your position as well, actually. So I have very similar perspective, very similar concerns, thoughts, and this is how I'm approaching it. Is we need to be strong, and we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, I mean, you're really in a better position to answer this than I am. And, my wife, of course, lives a life of safety and comfort in her undisclosed location.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, you're going to have to put up with all this. But our fathers did before us, you know? I mean, sitting here in Central Europe, which has seen from 1914 to 1989, 1990, it was just horror.
I mean,
one after another.
Think of it this way, though. I mean, Aaron's already in a good state of mind because if you're just taking care of yourself, see, if you're not getting married and you're just worried about yourself, you can be lax. It's like, well, I don't need to tidy these things up. I don't need to know everything. But when you think like that you're going to have a son or daughter, it's like, oh, wow, I need to be prepared theologically because they're going to send me a lot of weird questions and I need to know my stuff because I need to pass on my faith. See, that process is already for your salvation. And you should be excited because that clearly shows that God is working for your salvation right here. And that you can already sort of get a feeling of the path that you're supposed to walk. And I think you should feel good because there's a very strong sense of purpose and uniqueness associated with your journey that no one else has. It's purely yours. And it feels good. So those are my thoughts on that whole matter. I think that's a good question to end it on. I always like forward-looking questions. I'm kind of getting wound up. I like going through this backlog of questions and really just kicking them out. So we're going to do more of that next week. We're going to do a lot more. I think we're going to try to get through a lot of questions next week. I really want to please a lot of people. We've got a lot of loyal non-patron fans, and I don't want to leave them just on the street. So we're going to get to those. I'm excited to get to those.
There's a point that should be brought out, though.
Yeah, what?
And that is that we'll be recording the show next week on Black Friday.
Oh, so, yeah.
It's going to be a Black Friday marathon of questions answered. And to make things really crazy for you all, ladies and gentlemen, instead of rushing right out to Target or to JCPenney or any of these things for their Black Friday deals, the boss and me are coming into the tower when everybody else is out getting their specials, whatever they might be. We're going to be here for you, just knocking out question after question after question after question. And that is in the true spirit of Thanksgiving, because we'll be giving thanks for you, our audience, without whom we would have nothing. Now, contrary-wise, over Thanksgiving itself, you could give thanks for us.
Prayers. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
We need him.
him.
Oh, jinx. Yeah.
Vinny, he can't be the plutocratic tyrant he is without a lot of spiritual help. And for me, I can't be the brilliant talent brought in with great expense from out of town unless. So, really and truly, ladies and gentlemen, please remember Soviet Thanksgiving. And as I say, we'll be knocking out a ton of questions on Black Friday.
Yes. Okay, everyone gets a reprieve from me shilling books today, so enjoy
No
that.
shilling.
No shilling. Everybody, let's be laid back today. Let's have a nice day, and no pressure. No pressure to buy any books from TumblrHouse.com, even though we do offer free shipping on orders over $25. It's okay.
Wait a minute. Hold on just a minute. Are you telling me that you offer free shipping on every order over $25?
Yeah, it's unbelievable, isn't it?
Well, with Black Friday coming on,
Well, don't forget Cyber Monday. One of the episodes is going to come out on Cyber Monday. So, any closing remarks, Charles?
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. Gather with your friends and your loved ones. If you're seeing this program across the globe, if you're in Europe, well, settle down for a nice St. Martin's Day goose dinner the way I did today. Have that goose. If you're anywhere, this is a good part of the year, a good time of the year to get really cozy with your friends and family. It's a good time to do it. So my suggestion is do it. And remember, if it's Monday,
it's off the menu.
And the soul you save
may be your own.
God bless you all, folks. See you next week.